Oh, God. Oh, God is good. I keep telling y'all, street got no God. God do not look after street. Boosie really thought he wasn't going to jail for that pistol. I knew he was going. I said, well, wait.
Oh, God is good. I keep saying it. These streets got no guard, no mercy. Folks really thought Boosie wasn't going to end up in jail for that pistol. But deep down, I knew the day was coming, and I kept my distance. Now here we are, Boosie staring down a brutal 10-year sentence on that federal gun case, and the internet wasted no time jumping in. And who do you think was the loudest? Charleston White.
Cases stopped me from doing traveling all across the world making. So I just want to get it over with and, accept my guilty plea. I'm ready to get over with.
Anything you want to say to your fans?
Just say a prayer for me. I just need prayer. I don't need nothing else.
Well, Charleston White was celebrating you taking the plea deal. I think he even said he hopes you die in jail and stuff like that.
Yeah, I heard.
The biggest thing right now was that you actually accepted a plea deal for your federal gun case.
Yeah.
Now, how long have you been fighting this thing from the very, very beginning?
I've been fighting for probably 3 years now, probably.
3 years.
The moment the news hit the blogs, Charleston hopped on live looking like he just hit the jackpot. He was cracking up, saying he always knew Boosie would end up behind bars. He even bragged that he'd been saving this celebration for years. Then he twisted the knife even deeper, saying he wouldn't care if Boosie never walked free again. Boosie had already confessed to fans earlier this month that he took a plea deal. Worn out from a case that kept chasing him like a shadow he couldn't shake. Prosecutors had dropped it once before, but in 2024, they came back swinging even harder, re-indicting him with more heat than ever. That so-called best choice plea could now cost him an entire decade of his life. While Boosie was online posting teary messages about trusting God and admitting he was just tired of the fight, Charleston White was online clowning, literally popping champagne like it was his birthday. Picture this. One man praying for strength while another man is laughing and dancing on his downfall in real time. Boosie's legal mess has been dragging on forever, but this federal gun charge, it's shaping up to be the nail in his coffin. He got caught as a felon in possession of a firearm, one of the toughest charges to beat in the system. At first, fans thought he might have dodged it for good. When the case got dismissed in 2023, people felt like Boosie was finally free to focus on his music, his family, and his money. But the feds weren't done. In 2024, they came right back with the same charge, basically saying, "Nice try, but we're not finished with you." That's when Boosie broke down and took the plea deal. On X, he admitted, "I thought this case was over and I was gonna get on with my life."
You were attacking Kanye because of the
Nah, this Kanye West shit just happened. Nigga been coming at me. He been coming at me. It's just, I can't respond to those people, bro. Like, that's a danger to what I got going on. You can't take no risk of losing this shit behind you.
But God don't make mistakes, and I'm tired of fighting. Those words didn't sound like just another statement. They sounded like a broken man finally waving the white flag. And if you've followed Boosie since Baton Rouge, you know he's been dodging bullets, both literal and legal, for decades. He's survived cases, survived beefs, even survived health scares. But this one feels different. 10 years isn't just a setback, it's a life changer. The exhaustion was dripping off every single line of his posts. This wasn't the same Boosie who used to troll everyone back and fight the world online. This time, he sounded cornered. Fans flooded his comments with love and prayers, begging him to stay strong. But Charleston White, he took the opposite route. He went live with the biggest grin, saying he called this years ago. He made it clear he never once believed Boosie would escape this one. And now that the sentence is locked in, he's beyond thrilled to rub it in. And if that wasn't enough, he pushed it further, saying he hopes Boosie dies in prison. A wild and nasty statement, even for Charleston. But let's not forget, this is the same man who built his whole name off being the wildest troll in hip-hop. And the timing made it even nastier. Boosie hadn't even had a chance to breathe, let alone process his fate, before Charleston turned it into a full-blown comedy skit live online. This beef didn't just pop up overnight. It's been bubbling since late 2022, when Kanye West lit the internet on fire with that White Lives Matter shirt. Boosie stepped up, calling Ye out for disrespecting black people, and honestly, most folks agreed with Boosie on that one. But Charleston, he jumped online blasting Boosie just for speaking on Kanye, and that's when things spun out of control. Charleston didn't just clap back at Boosie. Nah, he went straight for the jugular. He dragged Boosie's son, Tootie Raw, and even T.I.'s son, King Harris, right into the drama. He called them ugly, said they couldn't fight, and even predicted they'd end up in jail one day. That's when people realized Charleston wasn't some ordinary troll. He was the type to stoop low and target kids just to break their parents down. What shocked people most? How calm Boosie stayed instead of snapping like everyone expected. In an interview with Tony the Closer, Boosie explained why he wouldn't explode, because the wrong words could land him right back in jail. Especially once Charleston dragged kids into it, that told fans everything. Boosie wasn't scared, he just knew Charleston was baiting him, setting traps that could ruin him if he reacted, but that calm didn't last long, because by early 2023, the beef was boiling hot. Charleston was already trolling T.I. over his so-called paperwork party, and that's when Boosie's son Tootie jumped in. He fired back, calling Charleston old, messy, and even told him to go die. And Charleston, being Charleston, turned it up to a whole new level. He went live saying, "I hope your daddy died from that diabetes. I hope they don't send him the insulin 1 month." Who even says something like that? He basically wished death on Boosie just to cut deep at his son. Then it got even crazier. Just weeks later, Tootie actually got arrested on gun charges, and Charleston wasted no time claiming credit. He bragged that he called the cops, tipped off the Department of Public Safety, and even sent in pictures. He said police were already watching Tootie because, in his words, Boosie is a 6-time convicted murderer who used kids to kill people. That's when this stopped being just internet trolling. It turned into real-life damage. And it didn't stop there. Barely 3 months later, Boosie himself got arrested in San Diego right after a court hearing. And of course, Charleston popped up on Instagram Live, grinning like he'd won a prize. He said it was all God's plan, even comparing Boosie to Daniel in the lion's den, like prison was some twisted spiritual test. He flipped Boosie's pain into his own twisted sermon, acting like jail was God's punishment while laughing through the whole thing. Even when Boosie tried to play it cool, you could see Charleston living rent-free in his head. By early 2024, this wasn't just rap beef anymore. It had spilled all the way into internet culture. Aiden Ross was supposed to have Boosie on his stream, but Boosie wasn't trying to deal with Charleston's name popping up, so he swerved the invite. Then Aiden spun the story, claiming he turned Boosie down out of loyalty to Charleston White. That lie spread like wildfire until DJ Vlad stepped in, dragging Aiden for siding with a man who once praised Hitler and even denied the Holocaust. That moment showed just how far Charleston's shadow stretched. Even young streamers were using his name like clout currency. And Charleston? He wasn't about to let things cool off. By March, he hopped back online claiming Boosie told promoters not to book him. But instead of leaving it there, he spun it into a rant, swearing he'd already contacted the feds and was ready to jam Boosie up over so-called threats. And of course, Charleston had to make it nastier. He dragged Boosie's health into it again, mocking him just to twist the knife deeper. He went live swearing up and down that the FBI was watching Boosie because of him. Proof? None. But Charleston doesn't need proof. He just says it loud enough until the rumor feels real. Even Boosie admitted he's been getting calls from dudes already locked up asking, "When you coming in here with us?" Imagine that. You're carrying the weight of a federal sentence, and inmates are clowning you before you even step foot inside. That's insult on top of injury, and Charleston knows it. Another detail that people whisper about, Boosie never even wanted to risk trial. He went straight for the plea. And honestly, who could blame him? Imagine Charleston White showing up in court, the same man who lives for chaos, turning the courtroom into a circus, pointing fingers, maybe even testifying, then running to the blogs before the judge's gavel even dropped. For Boosie, that risk just wasn't worth it. And here's the wild part, it ain't even far-fetched. Charleston has a history of cooperating, and he's never hidden it. Records show when he was just 14, he was caught up in a robbery with other teens. During that robbery, one of them, Antoine Doolittle, shot and killed a man named Michael Levy. When court time came, Charleston testified against him. In street culture, that's unforgivable, even if you're a kid. To this day, people drag him for telling on his own crew. But Charleston, he doesn't run from it. He leans right into it. He even said, "I was young, I was in court, I told the truth." That's not snitching, that's survival. He's even doubled down, saying he never lived by any so-called street code and doesn't care who gets mad. Wild, right? This is the same man who calls rappers rats, while proudly admitting he snitched himself. Recently, footage from that old juvenile case resurfaced, and the internet lit him up all over again. People called him a hypocrite, blasting him for preaching about the code one day, then bragging about testifying the next. The clip went viral, and Charleston, rather than backing down, just got louder. He made it crystal clear that he thrives off contradiction, and that's exactly why Boosie's decision to skip trial and grab that plea deal makes so much sense. The last thing Boosie wanted was to gamble with Charleston White popping up under oath. This is the same man who brags about calling cops, setting people up, and wearing snitch like it's a badge of honor. With somebody like that lurking around, Boosie knew better than to risk it in court. If Charleston even had the slightest chance of being tied to the case, you already know he would have turned that courtroom into his personal comedy show. Picture it. Charleston pointing fingers, cracking jokes at the jury, then hopping on live right after screaming, "I helped put Boosie away." That's not even a stretch. That's exactly how Charleston moves. He turns real life into a circus every chance he gets. And that's why he's so loud right now, because to him, this isn't just another rapper caught in legal drama, this is karma. In Charleston's eyes, it's validation for years of trolling. Proof that his mockery wasn't just noise, but prophecy coming true. Trace it back. The beef starting in 2022, the jabs at Tootie, the online rants, the arrests, the constant snitch talk. It almost feels like Charleston has been waiting, maybe even praying, for this exact moment where Boosie faces a decade behind bars. And here's the kicker. Boosie ain't even locked up yet. He's still free for now. But with that plea deal hanging heavy, those 10 years look way too real. Meanwhile, Charleston White is already clowning like the game is finished, dancing online as if he's the one who won. The streets are split, some laughing right along with Charleston, others staying quiet, wondering if the hammer is really about to drop on Boosie for good. But here's the part that stings the most. If Charleston is this loud while Boosie is still technically walking free, just imagine the circus he'll create on sentencing day. The internet won't just break, it'll explode, with Charleston front and center, clowning like it's his championship parade.